The signal from the stars. The radio telescope at the Arecibo Observatory picked up something that made Dr. Sarah Chen freeze mid-sip of her morning coffee. After 17 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, she'd grown accustomed to false alarms. Pulsars, satellite interference, even microwave ovens had fooled her before. But this signal was different. It repeated with mathematical precision, carried structured data, and most importantly, it was responding to their broadcasts. Within hours, every major space agency on Earth had their dishes pointed at the source. The signal came from a region near Alpha Centauri, humanity's closest stellar neighbor. As teams of linguists, mathematicians, and cryptographers worked around the clock, the message slowly revealed itself. It wasn't just a greeting. It was a warning. The translation appeared on screens worldwide. Young species of Earth, we are the Xylanthe Collective. Our alliance of 12 species faces extinction. The Vorthic Empire conquers all in its path. We have observed your broadcasts. Your species shows promise. Will you answer our call? In the United Nations emergency session, debates raged for days. Some argued humanity wasn't ready for interstellar conflict. Others saw opportunity. General Michael Torres, representing the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition, stood before the assembly. His weathered face showed the weight of the decision before them. Ladies and gentlemen, we dreamed of finding intelligent life among the stars. Now it's found us, and it needs our help. Throughout history, humanity has risen to meet impossible challenges. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that threatened our very existence. Each time, we emerged stronger. This is our moment to show the universe what humans are made of. The vote was close, but humanity chose to answer the call. Within weeks, Xylanthe transport vessels arrived in Earth orbit. Their sleek, crystalline ships dwarfed anything humans had built. Ambassador Crix, a tall being with iridescent scales and multiple eyes, met with Earth's leaders. Through advanced translation devices, he painted a grim picture of the war. The Vorthak follow ancient combat doctrines, Crix explained, his melodic voice tinged with despair. Their strategies haven't changed in millennia, but they don't need to. Their technology and numbers overwhelm all opposition. 12 species have joined our alliance. 12 species have failed to slow their advance. President Elena Rodriguez leaned forward. Tell us about their tactics. They advance in perfect formation. Their fleets move as one. Every battle follows the same pattern. Overwhelming force applied directly to the enemy's strongest point. It's honorable by their standards. General Torres exchanged glances with Admiral Lai Wei. Both veterans saw the same thing. An enemy that had never learned to adapt. What about feints? Ambushes? Guerrilla tactics? Torres asked. Crix's scales shifted to a confused purple. These words, our translators struggle with their meaning. Combat is direct. Forces meet, and the stronger prevails. This is the way of all civilized species. Humanity's military leaders shared knowing looks. Perhaps Earth's chaotic history of warfare, which had always been humanity's shame, might become its greatest asset. The first human volunteers boarded Xylanthe ships 3 months later. Among them was Captain Maria Santos, a Special Forces veteran who had served in conflicts across 3 continents. As her team integrated with alien crews, cultural shocks came fast and hard. The Xylanthe fought with mathematical precision. The Korvax warriors, silicon-based beings resembling living crystals, approached battle like a complex equation to be solved. The Mindari, telepathic cephalopods who floated in special environment suits, coordinated their forces through shared consciousness, but lacked individual initiative. During a strategy briefing, Captain Santos watched holographic displays of recent battles. The Vorthak forces, massive ships bristling with weapons, advanced in perfect geometric formations. The Alliance forces met them head-on, matching formation with formation. The battles were spectacular but predictable. The Vorthak won through superior firepower and numbers every time. Permission to speak freely? Santos asked. Commander Zelk, a four-armed Tarvanian warrior, gestured approval with his upper arms. Proceed, human Santos. Your tactics. They're beautiful, elegant, and completely predictable. The Vorthak know exactly what you'll do because you always do the same thing. The room fell silent. Several alien officers shifted uncomfortably. Challenging established doctrine was clearly unusual. What would you suggest? Zelk asked, his tone carefully neutral. Santos stood, approaching the holographic display. Watch human history. We've fought outnumbered countless times. Vikings used hit-and-run raids. American colonists used guerrilla tactics against the British. Vietnamese forces used tunnel networks against technologically superior enemies. We don't meet strength with strength. We find weakness and exploit it. She manipulated the display, showing a different approach. Small strike teams, false retreats. Attack their supply lines, not their main fleet. Make them chase shadows while we hit them where they don't expect. The alien officers exchanged what Santos had learned were skeptical glances. But Crix leaned forward, his scales shifting to an intrigued blue. Show us more. Over the following weeks, human advisors introduced concepts that baffled their alien allies. Psychological warfare, disinformation campaigns, asymmetric combat. The ordered minds of the Alliance species struggled with humanity's chaotic approach to conflict. The breakthrough came during a minor skirmish in the Proxima Belt. A Vorthak scouting force encountered an Alliance patrol led by human Lieutenant Jake Morrison. Instead of forming up for traditional combat, Morrison ordered his ships to scatter, launching dozens of decoy drones. The Vorthak, following protocol, pursued what appeared to be the main force. Morrison's actual ships powered down, hiding among asteroids. When the Vorthak passed, the humans struck from behind, targeting engine systems. The scout force, unable to comprehend an enemy that didn't face them honorably, fell into confusion. For the first time in the war, an Alliance force captured Vorthak ships intact. News of the victory spread through the Alliance fleet. The impossible had happened. The Vorthak could be beaten. More importantly, they could be outsmarted. Ambassador Crix met with General Torres aboard the human command ship Endeavor. Your species thinks differently, Crix admitted. What you call tactics, we considered madness, but results cannot be denied. Torres smiled grimly. Ambassador, you haven't seen anything yet. Humans have been finding creative ways to fight each other for thousands of years. Now, for the first time, we have a common enemy. The Vorthak are about to learn what happens when humanity unites against a threat. As word spread of humanity's entry into the Galactic War, something unprecedented happened. Young officers from Alliance species began requesting assignment to human-led units. The rigid thinking that had constrained the Alliance for so long began to crack. The war was far from over. The Vorthak Empire remained vast and powerful. But for the first time in generations, hope flickered among the stars. Humanity had brought something new to the conflict. Not advanced technology or superior numbers, but something far more dangerous. They had brought the one thing the galaxy had never seen before, human ingenuity unleashed on a cosmic scale. The tide of war was about to turn, and the galaxy would never be the same. Unconventional warriors. Commander Vex of the Vorthak Empire studied the battle reports with growing unease. For 3,000 years, the Vorthak had expanded through the galaxy using time-tested strategies passed down through generations. No species had ever broken their formations or countered their overwhelming might. Yet in the past month, something had changed. 3 patrol fleets had vanished without sending distress signals. Supply convoys reported mysterious malfunctions. Sensor networks detected ghost signals that led strike forces into empty space. The common factor in every incident, humans have been spotted in those sectors. These primitive bipeds dare mock the Vorthak order. Vex's secondary arms flexed in agitation, a sign of deep disturbance among his kind. His scales, normally a proud crimson, flickered with patches of uncertain orange. His subordinate, Captain Thrix, transmitted the latest intelligence. Commander, the humans don't engage in proper combat. They strike and vanish. They use deception. They fight without honor. Vex's primary eyes narrowed. Impossible. All sapient species understand the rules of civilized warfare. Face your enemy. Match strength with strength. Die with glory if you must, but die facing forward. Meanwhile, aboard the mixed-species vessel, Horizon's Edge, Captain James Hawk Patterson was teaching alien warriors lessons that would have made Sun Tzu proud. The training bay buzzed with activity as humans demonstrated concepts that challenged everything their allies believed about combat. Forget everything you know about formation fighting, Patterson addressed the assembled troops. His audience included Zelenthi warriors in their gleaming armor, Korvax soldiers whose crystalline bodies hummed with energy, and several other species, all looking skeptically at this strange human approach. Lieutenant Zura Kim demonstrated with a holographic display. Traditional battle doctrine says you meet force with force. But watch this. She showed a simulation of a Vorthok fleet arrangement. They expect you here. She marked the obvious confrontation point. So you appear here instead. Her finger traced flanking positions. And here. And here. Make them choose. Make them doubt. A Tarvanian warrior raised one of his 4 arms. But this lacks honor. Warriors should face their enemies. Patterson's weathered face creased into a smile. Tell me, what's more honorable? Dying gloriously in a predictable battle, or living to protect your homeworlds? Honor doesn't fill the void left by extinct civilizations. The warrior fell silent, conflicted between ancient traditions and stark reality. Over the following days, human instructors introduced concepts that seemed like madness to ordered military minds. Sergeant Miguel Rodriguez taught small unit tactics to squads used to moving in large formations. His students, a mix of different species, struggled with the idea of independent action. "You want us to separate?" asked Kilo, a young Minduri whose tentacles curled in anxiety. "But we are stronger together. The collective consciousness can be jammed or disrupted." Rodriguez interrupted. "What happens when you can't hear each other's thoughts? Do you freeze? Do you fall apart? Or do you trust your training and act independently?" He ran them through exercises that seemed chaotic at first. Hide and seek in the ship's maintenance tunnels. Capture the flag with mixed species teams. Communication only through hand signals. The aliens fumbled initially, but gradually, something clicked. The first real test came sooner than expected. The Vorthak launched a punitive strike against a mining colony in the Kepler system. 3 dreadnoughts and their escort fleet. Enough firepower to glass a small moon. The Alliance had only a handful of ships in the area, led by the experimental mixed-crew vessel Thunderchild under human command. Captain Patterson studied the tactical display. By conventional logic, they should retreat or die gloriously in a hopeless last stand. He chose neither. "All ships, execute Operation Matador," he ordered. The Alliance vessels scattered like startled birds. To the Vorthak, it looked like panic. Commander Vex, leading the assault, felt his scales shift to a satisfied purple. See how they flee. Even with humans among them, they'd break formation like cowards. All ships pursue and destroy. The Vorthak fleet surged forward, maintaining their perfect attack formation as they chased the fleeing ships. They didn't notice the small objects left in their wake, human-designed mines that looked like space debris on sensors. As the Vorthak passed through the minefield, Patterson smiled. Now, the mines activated, not exploding but generating powerful localized EMP bursts. Vorthak shields flickered and failed. Sensors went blind. In the confusion, the fleeing Alliance ships reversed course. "Attack pattern Wolfpack," Patterson commanded. Small strike teams materialized from hidden positions among asteroids. Fast attack craft, modified with human stealth technology, struck at the Vorthak formation's edges. They targeted specific systems: communication arrays, sensor clusters, engine stabilizers. The Vorthak tried to respond with their standard counterformation, but their ships couldn't coordinate properly. For the first time in their history, a Vorthak battle line began to fragment. Lieutenant Kim led her mixed squadron in a slashing attack on a dreadnought's ventral shields. "Remember your training," she called to her alien wingmen. "Hit and fade. Don't get greedy." Her Korvax partner, crystalline body pulsing with excitement, responded. "This chaos, it has a pattern. I begin to understand." The battle raged for hours. The Vorthak had superior firepower, but they were fighting blind and deaf. Alliance ships danced around them, striking vulnerable points and vanishing before retaliation could be organized. Finally, Commander Vex made a decision that shocked his own officers. "All ships, retreat. Regroup at fallback coordinates." As the Vorthak fled, the Alliance forces let them go. There was no pursuit, no attempt to destroy the retreating enemy. This too was a human innovation. Leave your enemy an escape route, and they're more likely to take it than fight to the death. In the aftermath, as damage reports came in, the significance became clear. A force outnumbered 3-1 had not only survived, but forced a Vorthak fleet to retreat. No Alliance ships were lost, though several were damaged. It was the first true defeat the Vorthak had suffered in living memory. But perhaps more important than the tactical victory was the psychological impact. Aboard Alliance ships, warriors from a dozen species looked at their human companions with new respect. The chaos of human warfare was beginning to make sense. On the Thunderchild, Patterson found Lieutenant Zura Kim in the observation deck, staring at the stars. "Penny for your thoughts, Lieutenant." She turned, exhaustion clear on her face, but eyes bright with purpose. "I was thinking about military history class at the academy. How they taught us that humans learned warfare wrong. Too chaotic, too emotional, too unpredictable. Turns out those might be our greatest strengths." Patterson nodded. "The Vorthak have been winning through superior technology and numbers, but they're predictable. And in war, predictability kills," Kim finished. Word of the battle spread through both fleets. On the Alliance side, requests for human tactical advisors flooded command channels. Young officers began studying human military history, not just recent conflicts, but ancient battles. Thermopylae, Cannae, the Teutoburg Forest. Strategies that seemed primitive by galactic standards suddenly revealed timeless principles. On the Vorthak side, confusion reigned. Commander Vex submitted his report to the High Command, struggling to explain how a smaller force had outmaneuvered his fleet. The response was typical Vorthak: blame the commander for failing to follow proper doctrine, replace him, and send a larger fleet. But among younger Vorthak officers, whispers began. Perhaps their ancient ways weren't infallible. Perhaps these humans, with their dishonorable tactics, had found something the Empire had lost in its rigid traditions. The change was most visible in the Alliance training facilities. Mixed species units that had struggled with coordination began to gel. The Mindari learned to function without their telepathic network. The Korvax discovered that their analytical minds could adapt to chaos when properly trained. The Tarvanian warriors found that their 4 arms gave them advantages in the close quarters combat humans favored. Sergeant Rodriguez watched a training exercise where a Zelanthi human team successfully ambushed a Vorthak patrol played by other trainees. The Zelanthi warrior, who weeks ago had questioned the honor of such tactics, now moved with deadly efficiency through the shadows. "You know what we're really teaching them?" his fellow instructor, Lieutenant Sarah Cooper, asked quietly. "How to think for themselves," Rodriguez replied. "How to question orders that don't make sense. How to adapt when plans go to hell." "We're not just changing their tactics," Cooper observed. "We're changing their cultures." The observation was more accurate than she knew. On worlds across the Alliance, military academies began incorporating human strategic thinking into their curricula. Young officers debated the merits of flexibility versus tradition. Ancient battle doctrines were questioned for the first time in millennia. But the real test was yet to come. The Vorthak Empire, stunned by their defeats, was mobilizing its main battle fleet. Hundreds of ships, led by their most experienced commanders, prepared for a campaign to crush this new threat. The Alliance gathered its forces too, but now with human advisors at every level. Ships were modified with human-inspired technology. Battle plans incorporated feints, ambushes, and psychological warfare. As both fleets prepared for what many believed would be the decisive battle of the war, Captain Patterson received a message from Earth. General Torres himself appeared on the secure channel. "Captain, intelligence suggests the Vorthak are planning something big. They're not just sending a fleet, they're sending a message. They want to prove that traditional strength still trumps clever tactics." Patterson nodded grimly. "Let them come, General. We've spent months teaching the Alliance how to think like humans. Now it's time to show the galaxy what happens when you combine human creativity with alien technology and resources. The whole species is watching, Captain. No pressure." After the call ended, Patterson stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, looking at his mixed species crew. Humans working alongside aliens, all preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of dozens of worlds. The Vorthak believed in the superiority of their ancient ways. The Alliance had discovered the power of human adaptability. Soon, these philosophies would clash on a scale never seen before. The tide of war hadn't just turned, it had become a tsunami. And riding its crest were the most unlikely warriors the galaxy had ever seen. Humans and their alien allies, united not by ancient traditions, but by a shared willingness to evolve, adapt, and overcome. The real war was about to begin.